Hello, who is here? Still waiting for people to come in. This is for fun for all family. Thank you for the three in the chat. Well, change the pace this week. I know a lot of people have kids and grandkids that they need to look after, so I thought maybe making this a family-friendly live stream for a change. I want to do some more stuff like this so that the people with kids and grandkids could enjoy having their kids around, talk about fairy tales, things like that, which is friendly to kids. So well, first off, we have the Brother Grimm's and other tales, fairy tales back then, like Hans Christian Andersen, and then the fairy tales is from them are different than what Disney has. Um, we're going to cover the fairy tales back then and cover stories like Dr. Seuss and The Little Engine That Can and Charlie and the Chocolate Family Factory and all that from early age onto 10, 11, 12 years old. You have Charlotte's Web in that older area, and Wizard of Oz, Ivanhoe, William Tell, and then you have all these nursery rhymes and folklore, folk tales, you name it. Some of the Native American folklores or folk tales are as similar to the fairy tales, and we're going to cover them. Plus, we're going to cover all the different types of different versions of Cinderella. What we're seeing here with the Brother Grimm, since this book is in German, it has all the fairy tales in the original language. The Brothers Grimm went around the German Empire at that time. That's include Poland, Czechoslovakia, and you name it. Austria, Denmark, somewhat, and other areas. Hans Christian Andersen does mostly Denmark and Scandinavian countries. There's also French type of fairy tales like The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And there's also Western fairy tales that we use today. Now, when we talk about the Brothers Grimm fairy tales and the Hans Christian Andersen type stories, they're not like what you see back in the like you see today, the Disney cartoons. They have consequences for anybody who misbehave, like a wicked stepmother or wicked stepsisters, you name it. Some of the fairy tales back then was like read to kids or told to kids is where the wicked stepmother gets hot iron shoes put on her after it been taken out of the oven to wear for punishment. Same with the wicked stepmother and stepsisters in Cinderella. They either get their eyes pecked out, tongue pecked out, or taken out, or stuff like that. And they cut off their toes and heels, trying to fit into the glass slipper. That's how gruesome it is back then. Hey, Melinda, how you doing? Yeah, I made this kid friendly or family friendly to talk about. I'm I'm doing the comparison between. Oh, that's fine. I'm just doing a comparison right now between the Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales back in the days when they wrote them, and how the Disney made them turn, you know, sissy like. Yeah, even the Little Mermaid wasn't like by Hans Christian Andersen wasn't like written back then like they have it in Disney movie. There's some gruesome stuff in that fairy tale too. What what the famous fairy tales that we um from around the world is like the White Doe. There's a Native American story or lore or folk tale called the Dare Woman or Dare Lady. Um, you have Jack O' Lantern. Um, you have the Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Then you have the nursery rhymes like Humpty Dumpty, Three Little Pigs, The Frog Prince, The Gingerbread Man, The Princess and the Pea, The Ugly Duckling, The Little Match Girl, Hansel and Gretel, Rapunzel, um, The Little Mermaid, um, Snow White, Beauty and the Beast. You name it. It's pretty much a lot of fairy tales that we use today. Frozen is based on the Snow Queen or the Snow Queen. If I remember right, that is a. Let me check for a minute. Ah, this yeah, it's Danish. Yeah, it's Danish and it's based on Hans Christian Andersen work on the Snow Queen. Then with all these others like Rumpelstiltskin, and then you have the Japanese version of Cinderella. You know how they bind their feet in tradition, and I think that's probably where the that tradition came from. Yeah, I they did make a live action movie called The Snow Queen. It's it's more that movie was based more on the original work than the Disney stuff. Um, let me see. I wrote something down here. Let me see. Here's the Native Americans. Yeah, here's some of the Native American ones: Grasshopper, Fairy Bride, The Adventures of an Indian Brave, The Boy and the Dragon, Bunny Cottontail and the Crane, The Crow's Stepmother, The Enchanted Mo- Moccasin. That sounds more like the glass slipper of Cinderella. They have a little Cinderella from another tribe, and the turtle and his bride. That's more like Beauty and the Beast type. They may then there's the nursery rhymes I told you about, and the songs like London Bridge is falling down, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and stuff like that. And then Bingo, what's his name? Oh, and and other stuff, things like that. The, there's went into stories and legends like the Gingerbread Man, um, Three Little Pigs, the Frog Prince, the Ugly Duckling, things like that. And then you have the old lady living the soup. Yeah, yeah, I remember singing all those songs as a kid, like Itsy Bitsy Spider climbing up the spout, or or Rockin' My Baby in the Treetop, things like that, or Ring Around the Rosie, Pocket Full of Posies, and then some of these are more poetry or prose, like Roses Are Red, and things like that. And plus, you have the camping or bus trip songs like 99 Beers on the Roll, 10 Little Indians, one roll over off the bed with 9 Indians left. Then you get, and then it expand from beyond fairy tales into writings like the Dr. Seuss books, like Green Eggs and Ham. Oh, that for my list looked at, that wasn't the song that they little kids really got into by Elvis. They have what do you call it? Hound Dog. You ain't nothing but a hound dog crying all the time. And then they go with Puff the Magic Dragon and stuff like that. We have like the Diary of the Wimpy Kid, Ender's Game, Percy Jackson, the Olympians, Peter and the Star Catchers, the Borrowers, the Wind in the Willows, Watership Down. There's The Secret of Nim was based on a children's book. Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. Hugo Pepper, The Princess Bride. That was like a fairy tale book. Charlotte's Web, James and the Giant Peach, The Phantom Toadstool, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Hose, Little House on the Prairie, The Lorax, The Railway Children, Stuart Little, Winnie the Pooh, Clifford the Big Red Dog, Curious George, Frog and Toad, our friends, Where the Wild Things Are, A Wrinkle in Time, Peter Pan, The Jungle Book, Matilda, The Secret Dragon, Harry Potter, The Chronicle of Narnia, Because of Winn-Dixie, Harriet the Spy, Peppa Pig, The Secret Garden, Pippi Longstocking, Little Women, Anne of Green Gables, The Wizard of Oz, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Goldilocks and the Three Pandas. That's the Chinese version of the Goldilocks. The Golden Sandal, which is Middle East Cinderella. Hi Elizabeth, how you doing? Hop on Pop. The Cat in the Hat. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The Bernstein Bears. Jack and Beanstalk, Pinocchio, St. George and the Dragon, Young Lancelot, King Arthur and the Round Table. I could go name all on the books for kids. A lot of them that Disney made into movies. There's one. You have the Aesop's Fables, and then Confucius Fables. And then when they turned them into movies, mainly by Disney, they really dumbed them down from the original. And we also have like folk lessons like Paul Bunyan and his Ox Babe, The City of El Dorado, Casey at the Bat, John Jacob, William Tell is another good one, Ivanhoe, and then the stories about Pocahontas, Zachariah. I'm not very good at Native American names. Then you have foreign type of children tales, like the Monkey King, Alcina, Chicken Little, Mother Goose, Aladdin, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, Sinbad the Sailor, the Turtle and the Hare, and then you have more stories on legends of real pirates like Bluebeard, Blackbeard, outlaws like Billy the Kid, Frank and Jesse James, Wild West figures like Annie Oakley, Calamity Jane, um, Wild Bill Hiccup, Doc Holliday. Then you have gang, um, criminals like Bonnie and Clyde, and then you have go back to Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone have legends and folk tales and stories about them. And there's been books that rewritten the fairy tale like Enchantment, Mirror Mirror, and The Glass Slipper and Ella Enchanted. I like some of the nursery rhymes too. I know they did one on Annie Oakley. I don't remember Calamity Jane though. I think the last version of Doc Holliday I think they made was Val Kilmer. There's probably other people who played Doc Holliday after that. You know the movie Young Guns with Emilio Estevez playing Billy the Kid. After the second movie, it wound up that Billy the Kid was still alive, but it it's played on the rumors and folktale that they didn't catch Billy the Kid, that he was still alive. the movie Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is also based on true history and some lore of who they are. And for the situation with the fairy tales and all that, the one reason why they made the fairy tale so so graphic is that it's because they want to scare the kids to do the right thing, not to do bad. And it said, here's the consequences if you do something bad, and fill in the blank. Of course, that didn't help much back then either. They had more discipline back then than they do today. Um, what? Yeah, that's what the stories are supposed to be. They said if you do good, like this little apprentice does, then you be rewarded. What was your favorite fairy tale of of all them all when you were a kid? Um, Mine is probably the um, Little Red Riding Hood out of yeah. I think mine is like Little Red Riding Hood out of France with the big bad wolf. Which children books did you guys read when you were little or read? Let me see. I got all you thinking. I'm writing down. Yeah, I read a lot of them too. I have them written down. Okay, here's what I've read. The Wind in the Willows. Charlotte's Web. That's the talking pig and the spider. The Phantom Toll Booth. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The Little House on the Prairie series of books. The Railway Children. Winnie the Pooh. Green Eggs and Ham. Peter Pan. The Grimm's Fairy Tale books. The Gingerbread Man. Three Little Pigs. Peter Rabbit. The Ugly Duckling. The Wizard of Oz. Alex Ventures in Wonderland. Through the Looking Glass. The Cat in the Hat. Green Hams and Eggs. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Jack and the Beanstalk. Pinocchio. St. George and the Dragon. Pied Piper. The Mother Goose series of storyline or storytelling. Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack the Giant Killer. Um, Tum Tum. The Tortoise and the Hare. Bluebird. Hunchback at Notre Dame. Puss in Boots. The Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven is easy to read as a kid. Rumpelstiltskin. The Boy Who Cried Wolf Out of Russia. The Green Knight. Peter and the Roof. Briar Rabbit. King Arthur. Um, I've got to the songs and nursery rhymes. Um, Blackbeard, Robin Hood, 1001 Nights. They have all the stories included Aladdin, Sinbad. Um, they had some books on Daniel Boone and Buffalo Bill, Kit Carson, Wild Bill Hickok, Tom Horn, Calamity Jane, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, um, um, The Tales of Uncle Remus, which was made into the movie Disney movie Song of the South. Um, Let me see. John Henry, Paul Bunyan and Babe. Um, The Little Engine That Could. Um, the Black Calderon, which is written by the same author of the Chronicles of Narnia. Ivanhoe, The Hobbit, Treasure Island, Tom Sawyer, The Secret Seven, Huckleberry Finn, Hardy Boys. I did read some of Nancy Drew. It's pretty long list what I read when I started learning to read up to 10, 11, 12 years old. I just have trouble when I got older in my teens. I have trouble doing Shakespeare and stuff like that. There, yeah, I read a lot of the Hardy Boys and read some Nancy Drew. They did crossover between the two. I had some books that had Nancy Drew in the Hardy Boys mystery, and some of the part two went over into Nancy Drew and vice versa. Also around that age, I also read some Doc Savage book. Um, I also read something about an old lady that snuck on the spaceship that was good being launched on her farm. Hello, how you doing, Warhorse? Um, other, I remember there's other books that I read, but I can't remember the name of them. Good, good. Um, it's been a long time ago since I read them. Um, yeah, you do get some that get a lot of them in the books and literature and fairy tales that's been written, like the what we call them fairy godmothers and all that. Um, yeah, with that we have now up to the next subject. What they have mostly in these fairy tales in books of children are magical creatures, fairies, godmothers, mag- magic, dragons, monsters, witches, evil stepmothers, evil stepsisters. Um, Usually the princes are in trouble and need to have to be rescued by a prince. In today's the book about don't bet on the fairies or don't bet on the prince. It's talk about how the culture changed because now women want to be. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Warhorse, I know. There, there are some that are. Well, like I said, I believe that there's a balance of good and evil in everywhere. So you have a balance, like you have good faith folks, you have bad faith folks, and you have neutral faith folks. So that makes it balance, like how we are balanced. Yeah. Oh, we have somebody coming.
Hello, my friend. I hope you don't mind me having my supper while talking to you.
Yeah, that's okay. We're talking about fairy tales and
We have
all
somebody
that.
coming. So I'm going to turn off your phone. My friend. I hope you don't mind me having my supper while talking to you.
Yeah, that's okay. Is that better?
Most of the fairy tales, if you think about it, date back to around the time of the Bronze Age. Right? They found this out throughout the hunter-gatherers and so on. The gods for Cinderella, for example, was supposed to be in France, but they proved that there's been various different versions of it used throughout what you call Europe. I mean, Snow White was actually one that everybody thought was European, but in fact came from Britain around the time of the War of the Roses. Well, hello, Warhorse and Braveheart films. Sorry, somebody saying hello to me.
Linda's here, and Elizabeth's here.
Yes, hello to everybody.
They're Cinderella's all over the world. Yeah.
I mean, the dragon thing is actually, if you think about it, dragons were based on basically dinosaur bones that were found in the ground from people in the past, and they assumed it was these big mythical creatures.
Mm-hmm. What I was saying about the Cinderella stories, there's different versions around the world. You have the Japanese version, the Chinese version, Native American versions have one.
You got the British and the Scottish versions as well.
Yeah. You also have. It's all over around the world.
Yeah.
Because what I said about the enchanted moccasins, which is footwear in Native American. So it sounds more like of the glass slipper type.
Yeah.
Enchantment. And then you have the wicked stepmother one, or the evil stepmother in Native American.
Well, the evil stepmother thing started, I think, more or less from the medieval times when we were in Great Britain, because around that time there was great conflict, and some mothers married lords of the manor, right, when there's originally a child there, so that any child that she had would gain the lordship or other, and that's where you got the start of the evil stepmother come about.
I was also thinking that another thing that we could look at with the about the faith folks that Warhorse brought up, that was in fairy tales and that.
Well, it's like the Piper of Hamelin.
Yeah,
the true story.
Yeah, but we have different versions or words of them around the world.
Yeah.
Native Americans have little faithful type creatures
It's like
in
the
the fairy tale or
it's like the
folk tale.
Australian Aborigines. They have their own version of the creation
Yeah.
called the Dream Time. The Native Americans have their own version.
Hmm.
The Norse do, and the Greeks do.
Yeah. Everything that they have their own versions around the world. I'm still
Forgive
hearing
me
some
here, I'm not being disrespectful to some Bible people, but in a way, to some people, something the Great Flood of Noah was a fairy tale because it's based on the
Mhm.
Great Flood myth, right?
Yeah.
There's various different mythologies throughout the world, including the Babylonians, all had a biblical flood.
I think the ancient Greek myths of the Great Flood came before
Mhm.
before Israel
Oh,
religion
good.
because I think the stuff that they brought from the Greek Empire down
Indeed, I mean,
into
well,
Israel, they
yeah.
picked up some of the ideals.
The Great Floods myths and fairy tales all came about from the great explosion at the Santorini volcano when the massive big tidal waves flooded out.
Yeah.
And that's where people got it because all their lands were flooded and they thought it was the end of the world.
Yeah. They also have some of the folklore, folk legends, things like that are came before the fairy tales came out, and then they used
Well, that's very true because
yeah,
especially the people who came from Devon and a place called Plymouth. That's where you got Plymouth Rock
yeah,
from. In Plymouth
limit,
and Devon, and especially Dartmoor, there's such things as pixies and knockers, which have come from the
mhm,
copper mines and the tin mines on the moor. And they supposed to, when those miners went over to extract the minerals that the colonists wanted, they brought them with them.
another version of the faithful would be the gremlins.
Oh yes,
I
gremlins are
think,
supposed to be the things that it's supposed to say that if anybody had bad luck, they used to blame it on the gremlins.
yeah,
And sometimes with bad luck, it
mhm,
was just a case of somebody made a mistake with something and suddenly the crop died. Or,
yeah,
but they blamed it on the gremlin because it's better on the gremlin than the person that you realise that you made your family starve.
yeah. They also said that people said they saw gnomes in that here in the United States.
Gnomes actually came about from British folklore.
Hey Matt, how you doing? Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that was brought over from British.
But the thing like the owl man in Britain, right?
Yeah,
That was people think that was brought over from America
I don't
because
know if that. I don't know if that's true, Simon.
someone said that to me. I don't know where from.
Yeah, the Native Americans had stories and legends
Yeah.
before came in.
Well, I know for a fact that the Irish married into the Cherokee Nation, and with them they brought some of their customs and their
Mhm.
beliefs, especially regards the whaling women. And I know there's been in some
Yeah,
places where the Cherokees were, there's so-called ghost stories of whaling Indian women.
yeah.
Time there's an omen.
What I was saying about the owlman for the
Yeah.
for the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Um, they have stories and legends of tricksters. They have a trickster owl, which could be an owl man. So,
Something that not many people know: Native Americans were
yeah,
taken in the 16th century and brought to Britain, where they
yeah,
were used as ornaments for the highly rich. They would
uh,
live in their grounds of their big places, and they would be sat there just as ornaments for people to come over for their parties. And this is the weird thing. Sometimes some of the women used to like the sight of some of the Native Americans, and they would have bastard children with them.
yeah. Maybe some of the tricksters could be like a fae folk too, somewhat.
I believe there's different types of faith folk throughout the world. Like,
Yeah,
for example, there are such things in Japan like called fox spirits, which are supposed to be to do with the fox goddess.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking that jinn or genie out of the Middle East.
The jinn are basically demon spirits. They're nothing to do with the
Yeah,
fae.
yeah, yeah. Well, horse. That's what I'm talking about because I did study.
I am very sorry about that, about the British doing that,
Yeah,
But it's one of those things about after all this time, there's nothing we can do much about it. And at that time, also, right, and this is not rationalising it, a lot of the militia men had no choice but carry out the orders of the people that were high up, or else they would have died. They would have been shot for desertion.
yeah. The thing I think of about the that is because I think some of the stuff, yeah, past wars
I mean,
is
over for
is
example,
is a
yeah,
stain in our history that we could learn from it. And
someone told me that in America we got to be getting some of the stuff that we Brits get, which is the Black Panther thing,
yeah,
right?
well, well, what I was saying that is some of the cryptids and that have been in Asia and all that too. The
Right.
history of the of
Oh yeah,
oh yeah,
about Jamestown, that place was
yeah.
wiped off the map. Nobody knew there was anything about what happened there.
Okay, man. Take care. Yeah, the what I was saying is that the like what Warhorse said about the cryptids and that.
This is
Uh oh.
right. Shit, the brains.
Matt, we have a TROLL.
Don't worry, it's just one of the fabe tending to be a brained individual when it's not.
This is this is troll I had that did something to my channel. Thank
Don't
you,
worry.
Melinda. I hope I'm not going to get flooded with spammers now.
You won't. You've got good
Thank
people.
you, Matt.
Yeah. Thing is, the people like that have no brains.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
the Tommy Knockers came with the Cornish when they were mining copper and so on.
Yep. He is a troll. I seen that type before, and it caused trouble. They still get the views even if they're banned too.
Worst thing about it, he was taking the mickey out of the Jewish people as well, calling
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen them all over the place. Um, the thing I was trying to say is that even though Native Americans have their own
Mhm.
words for crickets and that, we have different words for them, and some of them we've seen around the world, like dragons and all that.
Mhm. Of course, the
Because
Mexicans have their own word for the dragon. It's called Quetzalcoatl, the god.
yeah, the because Beirut is before 1000 AD mentioned dragons in there. Hi Maria, how are you? Yeah,
Mary, we got to see her. Mhm.
and then I think some of the things that we had, like the like
Yeah.
yeah, Matt. The only thing that we have left here of that Cherokee village of Gallo Rock was a trading village on the river. Is the cemetery and the graveyard. The whole buildings were wiped out of the Cherokee. Uh,
Well, I was trying to think of what something to say then, but I
yeah,
couldn't.
that trading village was a
That's Troll.
yeah,
That's my train of thought.
yeah. My train of thoughts.
My train of thought has stopped and unloaded its passengers.
I wonder if they said that the skinwalkers and tricksters were like witches at one time.
Well, the skinwalkers are supposed to be medicine men that chose the dark path,
Yeah, evil.
evil path.
Yeah,
They're called shapeshifters, skinwalkers. Basically, they can turn into anything they want,
yeah.
from
The
from
gents are
cougars and
shapeshifters
bears and all
too.
sorts. As a bit of a joke, I'm going to say something about Sasquatch. I must be
Yeah.
Sasquatch because I've got size 12 British shoes, huge feet. You know?
When the land birds came about thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
You have the Yeti, the Eastern Asian type of Bigfoot,
Indeed,
the
I mean, you
Sasquatch.
had all sorts. You had from the Altai regions of Russia, you had the what's called the Alma, which is
Yeah,
the Yeti's cousin,
yeah,
right? And also, of course, I think this is what I think is the Bigfoot. You've heard of something called the Denisovans.
Hi, Freaky.
Hey, freaky geeky, nice to see you. The Yetis.
No, there's a Yeti cooler, but not a Yeti flask.
Sasquatch was well. Currently, they think some people think Sasquatch might be a form of Gigantopithecus, which is a huge half ape, half human creature, size of a gorilla.
Yeah. You also have the Australian version called the Yowie,
Yeah,
and
isn't that
then
what It's not what it says every time it stumps its toe over a rock. Yowie, Yowie.
and
Yeah.
then like I was, when we got back off topic, we did talk about dragons.
Some people think that the
And
Thunderbird,
the
which is
wolves.
Native American, right? Thunderbird. Some people think, some of the cryptids, conspiracy thinkers, think it's a pterodactyl.
Yeah.
Somebody made a model of him.
Freaky.
Yes, exactly. Yowie is a very accidental person. It's the same with
Yeah.
Sasquatch, you know. If you go near and you hear a screech, I think it's probably because it accidentally bumped into a tree and hit its nuts on a
Mhm.
branch. You know?
So the dragons and Native Americans were okay, Warhorse.
Don't worry about me. I'm
Take
just
care. Um, yes, he's silly, Maria. Um, like I said, okay, take care. Um, the the
well.
like
Not
I said,
supposed to know. The Great British had a version of the Yeti called the Green
oh,
Man.
someone's coming up. Don't know who it is.
Ooh, is it freaky geeky?
All right.
Hey,
Hello,
what's up, man?
hello, Second Star Survival. Okay, goodbye.
And
Hello.
won't. Hey, Matt. How
Hey,
you?
brother. All right, how about you? All right, so what's our topic today?
You're a little bit robotic.
Oh, am I?
We're
Yeah.
we're trying to talk on the fairy tale today.
Oh,
We're trying to do it family friendly. So
Yeah. And someone's
yeah,
just said he's
and
a silly Willy. Uh,
so sorry, I'm not used to
yeah,
this
it's okay.
experience that you're running now.
Okay. I understand what you're
yeah,
saying anyway, so.
yeah. Hey, Dev, how you doing?
Hey,
I was
Um,
Jeff.
thinking about fairy tales. That's going to be a bit controversial.
yeah.
That I was going to say, isn't that the Republican Manifesto, isn't it? All fairy
Yeah.
tales.
Well,
Mhm.
some
Yeah.
of the stuff that's in fairy tales and all that have cryptids in it. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
paranormal stuff like magic and dragons and witches.
Well,
And you
it's
name
like the
it.
fairy tale of King Arthur.
Well, I mean, if you want to get one of the most famous fairy tales is Jack and the Beanstalk. You know,
Yeah.
it also was Jack and the Giant Slayer. There was
Yeah.
multiple different tales of Jack and the Beanstalk and his adventures.
Controversial hat, wasn't it?
Huh? But I mean, like, it but a lot of like the Grimm fairy tales and stuff like that, they're controversial by today's standards, by how we perceive the way.
Women.
Well, yeah, how we perceived women, how we perceived younger children and stuff like that at that time period. Because I mean,
Hat.
what's up, girl?
Hey, Maria.
Hey,
How
what
do
are we
you-
talking about? Not much.
Fairy tale.
I was saying
Well,
a joke, Maria, that the biggest fairy tale of all is the Republican Manifesto.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Republican Manifesto is
But anyway.
something else. Yeah. You know, if we didn't have these stories, if we didn't have this, we wouldn't have.
Whoop,
Do it.
Matt.
Well, Matt's having the
That's
There
all right.
always use a top of his hat.
Take the picture.
Matt.
I have seen
Right?
my eyesight is not good. Sorry about it. They're always
Oh, you're
using
good.
purple for hats.
You know, when I find mushrooms in a circle in my yard, I leave cream out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's because of the pixies.
And
In Devon,
At the same time.
in Devon we call
Yeah.
pixies, right? In Cornwall they call piskies. Piskies.
I heard
Yeah.
the stories that they leave some gifts out for the Fae folks too.
Yeah.
Well, there's also like house gnomes. I mean, like house gnomes. You probably know the story of the shoemaker. You know,
Yeah.
like the shoemaker had house gnomes in there that helped. They were a poor family until they allowed like 10 a troop of house gnomes come and live in the house with them, and they ended up making more magnificent shoes than what the humans could come up with, and ended up making this like he ended up making shoes and stuff for royalty because of the stylish aspect and the quality that the house gnomes could produce.
Yeah. Now, if you go with the Grimm Fairy Tales version, that's because they kept his son
Yeah,
alive or something. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
like
it was
his
the
son
evil. It was the
definitely
troll.
evil.
The Troll King. The Troll King had his son.
Sounds just like the same vein as Rumpelstiltskin, the little leprechaun who made the woman try to spin gold out of straw. It's the same thing.
Yeah, there was also well on that story
That,
too, Simon, there was they said that Rumpelstiltskin
I think
was half
Freaky's got something
was
for
had a
second
overblood
class.
in it.
And
That's what made him evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rumpelstiltskin, I think, is Hans Christian Andersen. Like the
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
I
mermaid.
think so.
But
And
Hans Christian Andersen
there,
went on with it, but it was like a short story of the Brothers Grimm, and it was
Yeah.
called something else before Rumpelstiltskin. It was
also
like
the Princess and the Pea as well.
or something like that.
So the Princess and the Pea, that was a grim one as well. But the only way
Yeah,
to find out a real princess was to put a pea in the middle of a pile of mattresses, and that's
Yeah.
how
yep.
she
All our
found.
fairy tales came from evil. Basically,
yeah,
it's just I think man kind of sweetened it up for the kids.
yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
like when there's no more food
Disney
in
did.
the house, get Granny to stuff the children in the oven.
Right?
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the thing was like the
You know,
Grimm
the
fairy tales
blooming
were,
gingerbread. It's
yeah. Well, it was like the first thing of telling children right from wrong, telling children to watch
yeah,
out for. I mean, look at the nursery rhyme, Jack and
Right?
Jill.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack and Jill was trying to escape from an abusive orphanage, and the only way to escape from it was literally committing suicide. And it was kind of like a Romeo Juliet kind of thing.
oh Freaky. Look what Freaky's put, Maria.
Goodbye, baby. Falls out of a treetop. Come on.
or
Yeah,
Jack B. Nimble, Jack B. Crick,
Well, Humpty Dumpty
Jack
was all
jumped
about
over a
taking the Mickey
candlestick,
on.
and he caught
Well,
himself on fire.
well, Humpty
right.
Dumpty was all about taking the Mickey out the King George that lost the American colonies.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was all about that because the same King George had some mental health issues. That's why
Yep.
they said
That's
he was
why he
cracked.
broke under pressure, and they said, when Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, like, all the king's horses and all the
we
king's
lost
men
Maria.
put Humpty back together again.
Well, I was going to say all the King's horses and all the King's men had a nice big omelette.
Right?
Yeah, but
I mean,
There's another story that's kind of like that, kind of like a nursery rhyme. The little old lady who rode the fly and all that is probably the horse, and makes
Yeah.
her
of course.
eat too much, become a fat pig, and die from it.
that was also a jab at gypsies also. That, I
Yeah.
mean, the old lady, it
I
was,
remember my
it was talking
grandmother
about their
told me
spell
that.
casting and stuff. Like, gypsies would eat anything and everything, and they would have one thing to take care of another, then they would have to make another thing to take care of something else, and it was trying to guide people from going to gypsy caravans.
I remember my grandmother telling me one fairy tale from the Victorian period who said, my mother told me I never should talk to the gypsies in the wood. Meaning,
Yeah,
do not talk to the gypsies, they'll carry you away and sell you to someone else or kill you and take
yep,
your money.
yep.
Um,
Like, that was the thing with, like, British fairy tales, like,
There's
they,
some really disturbing ones.
yeah,
By the way, like the one called Bar Bar Black Sheep, you know what that really was about? British smuggling
yeah,
operation.
I,
You know?
I also think that some of the fairy tales took bits and pieces of other type of folklore and legend.
It's
Yep.
like
Two.
Rapunzel and the Tower. That was actually about the Tower of London and Anne Boleyn being locked up in the Tower of London. There was nothing.
Yep.
There was never to do with Rapunzel, and even though the French made it to be about it because it was a French fairy tale, it was actually a retelling of what happened to Anne Boleyn.
Yes, yes. Then it was also retold again because of Queen Mary from Scotland.
Yes, I know, Maria.
Yeah.
Technology sucks movies. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially with Mary, Mary, quite contrary. How did your garden grow? Can't
Yeah.
remember. She was talking about cockle shells and maids all in a row. They were all called,
Yep.
and all the Mary Scott, Queen Scott's maids were all called Mary, and cockle shells are supposed to be the symbol for French Catholicism.
Right.
So
The Sleeping Beauty story.
that was about the Great Plague of London.
Um,
Yep.
I think it's also borrowed something from a past work too. Beirut,
Yeah.
because that night the people were asleep and Grendel sneaks in and kills
It's
some of
also
the men.
taken off the Norse one where the gods are supposed to sleep for eternity in Valhalla after Ragnarok.
Yeah.
The end of the world, Ragnarok,
Yeah.
where all the sleeping gods lay.
Until the time when Vati and the other wolf devoured the sun and the moon, and Loki rose up and fought with Jormungandr against Thor and Odin, and the
Yep.
great war of the gods happened.
They
Which
said
might add to the same echo of the Greek war of the gods.
Yeah, they said that Beirut was based more of on a Scandinavian type story that was translated into English writing.
You see, what most people don't know is that the Saxons were Scandinavian in origin anyway. They were just basically different kinds of Vikings, but they were the same thing,
Yeah.
Vikings.
Right.
And the German people were Vikings.
You see, it might surprise you to know Germany, right, and the Baltic states, as well as Finland, also did go a Viking. And also some people in this country, in Britain, went a Viking over and did a few raids over into Scandinavia.
Mhm.
So
And I mean, you got the frame, the beginning of the frames. They adopted the Viking fighting style and everything also because the Franks were the ones that learned how to throw axes.
yeah, and then the Saxons perfected it.
Yeah.
The Saxons also brought over from Charlemagne the use
Yep.
of the great bows.
I still love the German pretty much it was a troll weapon. They called it the Gutentag, and it was a huge, massive wooden warhammer. And every time they would hit somebody with it, they would say Gutentag. Like,
No,
good morning.
that's one way of curing somebody of a
Good
migraine.
German, good day.
Yeah,
Good day, whack. Wake up.
yeah, they would say Gutentag and just hit you as hard as they would with the hammer. And one of those
Yeah.
kids would kill you.
Well, it might surprise you to know that some of the Polynesians were using wooden weapons way before the Westerners were.
Yep.
That's where
I
you
mean,
get the
even
that's where you got the Maui the demigod.
I mean, even the Hawaiians were using wooden weapons. I mean, they made clubs out of shark teeth, so it not only would break bones when it hit you, but when they sliced through, it was like razor blades and would cut completely through skin, and
I
not
know
just like
Snowcone, but
cut marks.
I had a I'm sorry, Snowcone, but I had a family emergency. I had to go over to my parents because my mother fell over. Luckily, Mum's
Yeah,
okay, but I apologise, people, for not going on live
There's no
earlier.
problem.
you're fine, brother. Go take family's always first.
Yeah,
Yes.
family's always first, Simon.
Yeah. As it happens,
You
all
take
she
care,
had was a
brother.
cut on her knee, and she had to go to hospital to get a stitch in the top of her hair, but that's about it.
Well, I hope she's okay.
She's better now, but she's definitely got a headache from my dad just texted me. Perhaps she needs
Right.
perhaps she needs the good and targ hammer to take it away from her.
Right.
Night night. Whack. Yeah.
And that's what we used to do here in Texas when the first dentist came in. Like they would have you bite down on a bench or a cedar chew twig,
Yeah.
and they would hit with a wood out and perform dental surgery.
There's no
Well,
problem.
what they used to do here, they used to tie your tooth to a piece of string, tie it to a door handle, and literally slam the door, and the tooth would come out.
Hey,
Yep.
Eddie, how you doing?
My
Hey,
grandmother was
Eddie.
Scottish. And, hey, how you doing? Yeah, my grandmother is full-blooded Scottish on mom's side of the family. And when I was young growing up and I had a loose tooth, that's what she did. She grabbed dental floss and put it around my tooth, tied it, and just slammed the door on me and popped it out.
Hey, Eddie. I was just wondering. I bet you've seen some fairy tales in your time.
Hey, Eddie, bro.
My dad used pliers on me.
Oh,
No, I couldn't afford. I couldn't get into my dentist not so long back.
yeah.
Hey, Eli, how
And
you
I
doing?
was using my
Hey,
dad's
Eli, bro.
mold grips, and I took the tooth out there, and then with the mold grips.
Yeah. My grandparents both my grandparents on both sides of the family, my Native American grandparents and my Scottish grandparents, they would always, like, if I had a loose tooth or something like that, they would always prep me by rubbing gin or moonshine or something on my gums to numb it. And they would, like, my grandfather on my Native American side would, like, punch me in the mouth to knock it out. And
Gosh,
on my Scottish side, like, yeah, that's how they did it. I mean, you know, they didn't wait for it to fall out or anything because it's already numb. And, you know, if you're 10 years old, 11 years old, you can take a punch. I mean,
I remember
Thank you, Eli.
my mother, right, taking doing
yeah,
that with the thing with the piece of string as well, and slamming
yeah,
the door. all it did when I
Oh,
was a kid, it made me go flying because she actually did the string too long. So
right.
I went flying and literally hit my face in the door handle. And actually, the tooth came out, and the one that wasn't supposed to come out came out at the same time. So,
What
Well,
Native American blood you have, man? Again,
Cherokee.
me too.
Cherokee, brother. Yeah.
I don't have any Native American in me as
I
such,
have Cherokee blood too, so
Yeah,
so all
I'm
three.
from the Wolf tribe.
but I do have I do have a quarter Greek in me, a tenth Irish, a tenth Scots, quite a bit of Cornish. I can't remember the percentage, and I've
Yeah.
got a large piece of French in me as well. So I'm a mutt.
You're
Yeah.
going, you're going to save that up to buy pizza at Eli.
Yeah, my grandmother's side of the family, they're from the Grant clan of Scotland, and on my dad's side of the family, they're all from the Wolf tribe of North Carolina.
Do you know how cheeky I was as a kid? I remember losing the tooth one day, putting it underneath the pillow, and then I remembered how I always used to just get 50 pence, which is like 50 cents. So
Yeah.
I took the tooth away and left a note saying 50 cents isn't enough for my tooth. Give me a pound note. Funny enough, I got the pound note, but with a note underneath it saying, "You are a cheeky sod. You won't get it next time."
See, I grew up, like, here's the thing, like, the grandparents on my mom's side of the family, my Scottish grandparents, they told me that my teeth, they don't leave you money, and they said that the tooth fairies come from Germany, and they devour your tooth. They need the calcium, and they need the ivory, like, to nourish themselves so they can keep up the magic that's inside of them.
I remember my journey
I never got paid.
as a kid about the so-called Krampus. That scared the living shit out of me.
Krampus is more Austrian folklore.
Well, her father was Austrian, her mother was German. I think her mother came from Bremen. And, and my aunt's father came all the way from Salzburg.
You know, I've done some research on Krampus, and you know, in the 15th century, when they started actually doing research on Krampus, they consider Krampus they call it a father of the satyrs.
I thought satyrs were supposed to be the priests of Dionysus, who used to be randy as hell. That's how they the satyr thing.
There's different tribes of satyrs. They're all gut-like humanoids. Pan, stuff like that. But with Krampus is supposed to be the forebearer of what's called the Euclides satyrs from Hungary. And
Greeks.
Yeah. And these are the evil ones that they're kind of like on. They're kind of like a warrior tribe.
Well,
They're
you see,
kind of
Pan
like
was
a
supposed
goat
to
man
be
here in the United States,
Yeah.
right?
well, you see, from what I understand, Pan was supposed to be the Greek equivalent of Wukong, the monkey god.
Well, there's different aspects of
Both were
Krampus.
scapegoats. Both were scapegoats. One to the celestial emperor. Wukong was the monkey scapegoat. Then you got
Yeah,
Pan was the scapegoat of Hera, the goddess, who was in charge of motherhood.
There
And
was a minor god that's also satyr-like in Greek mythology too, but he was
yeah.
that
a
was
little.
Dionysus. That was
Well,
Dionysus, the god of wine.
well, okay. You gotta follow the whole entire bloodline and the storyline of satyrs throughout history. The
Yeah.
Greeks, the Greeks are the ones that pretty much beautified satyrs as like miscreants that like
The
to have
Romans
sex.
did as well. They called them fauns.
They,
The
Right.
well,
Romans.
the,
Faunus.
and Greeks called them like gods, like a
Yeah.
demigods or something like that.
Well, they were supposed to be messengers of they were supposed to be messengers of the Greek god of like wine and party and sex. I forgot what his name is.
So fun
Um,
times had to be all in the forest then. You know, I said it's got to be fun times in the forest then.
yeah, but the thing is, here's the thing with Greek satyrs. Okay, Greek satyrs were all males. Like there was no female satyrs or anything. They were all created to breed with human females to make more satyrs. And Pan was the one that was supposed to be Kaiser, the one that would manipulate humans to come in and
It's the same with the
be,
centaurs. Well, the centaurs are
yeah,
supposed to be messengers of Zeus, and
yeah,
they used to go and have rampant sex with any woman they can like to actually to what you call reproduce. But
yeah.
some, unlike fawns, there were some centaurs who were women
We're,
as well as
we,
men.
we went past rated Z and PG on the topic.
Brother. Yeah, but the beginning of satyrs go all the way to Babylonia. Like the
Welcome back,
Babylon
Ricky.
satyrs, Babylon satyrs were warrior type creatures. Like they would be born of the forest naturally. They were kind of like dryads, you know. They were born from trees, they were from bushes, stuff like that. Like Earth gave birth to them.
Well, the Druids
Then
of
you have,
Roman times are different. The Druids of Roman
yeah,
times are actually taken from original Celtic myth from Great Britain and brought into the
yeah,
Roman mythology.
Oh,
yeah.
freaky.
Ah, freaky. Centaurs are also called because they were horny little horse bullies. So,
Well, it wasn't because of that. It was nature's way and the God's way of replenishing the Fae, replenishing the supernatural order of the world. Because humans were the ones that hunted these creatures down for their magical powers, supposedly.
oh, freaky.
And
Sorry about that. Somebody that Freaky was being not saucy again.
But yeah, I mean, it's the Greeks were the ones that actually like painted the legend of satyrs to fit their own will, to kind of make a joke of one particular god.
Yeah.
You had Bacchus, was also the god of wine. He also had centaurs and horns, or what you would
Yeah.
call Pan. But
Yes.
that was Roman mythology.
Well, Pan has went by many different names throughout the culture. Like, they have always kept the demigod Pan, the god of chaos, the god of confusion. I mean, even in Babylonian times, Pan was considered Decatur, and
Well,
he
there's
was
actually
he
a
wasn't.
picture study on the internet
Uh-huh.
of Pan in the forest. There's supposed to be a
Yeah.
photograph that's on the internet about that.
Yeah, the one where there's a goat man sitting on a stump in the middle of the woods. Yeah,
But
I've seen that.
I do wonder if it's Photoshop because it seems too good to be true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I've heard. Go ahead.
I would
Go
think the
ahead.
Roman were
Oh, indeed. You see, there's a lot of gods that interchange for each other, Freaky. It's like
Yeah.
Pan is like Loki. Loki was like Wukong, the monkey god, and also Rama, the monkey god of Hinduism.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, I was going to say the Roman word for satyr is faun, Faun.
and
Yeah.
in
Because
C.S. Lewis mythology, in Narnia mythology,
Mhm.
the Mr. Tumnus is a faun.
Right.
yeah, you do have a lot of mischievous beings in mythology and in cryptids and that. Like
Yeah.
the
I mean,
and pixies and that.
Well, in
And-
two different cultures, they are like two monkey kings, but there's the monkey god Rama who fought a demon and helped another
you
Indian
also
god.
gotta think that the Indian god that created the Vara, which are Sasquatch-like creatures in India. I mean, Shiva went and fought this creature, and there's one particular spot in India where there's the actual footprint of the Indian monkey god. And
Yeah,
So-called Kingdom of Monkeys has been located as it being Ceylon or Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And they've actually found proof. They've got photographs of a proper built road that stretched for miles to the mainland of India to Sri Lanka.
yeah,
But of course, during the Bronze Age, the sea levels rose.
Yep.
So,
I mean, there's signs of the Mesopotamians that came over here in America and mined hundreds of thousands of pounds of copper from America before anybody else ever came over here.
did you know something else? There's actually signs that the British mined copper and no, not copper, tin, and literally used their reed boats to go to Cyprus. There they made bronze for the Bronze Age weapons for the Mycenaeans and the Minoan civilization of Crete,
Yep.
and also the Anatolians.
Yes, Eddie. What's your question?
Which, of course, the Cornwall, the British actual islands, the whole of them was known as the Cassiterides, which basically means land of tin and copper.
Yep. Well, I mean, at the fall of the Amazonians. I mean, when the Greeks and the Spartans decided to kick the Amazons out of Greece.
What is Eddie talking about?
The only it was when I was watching our live stream, Eddie. It was only to when you had the issue with Simon.
What happened? Sorry, I can't read chat or anything right now. I'm driving.
Okay, who's not allowed in his life?
Who's live?
I think we've got drama. Anyway.
But yeah, like the Amazons. Well, the thing with the Amazons is when they got kicked out of Greece, there was 5 warships. What's up, Spit?
It's okay.
Hold on, let's settle something. Hold on, let's see what's going on.
I'm not sure I like being involved in this drama.
It was Sling Blade. It had to do with that problem some weeks back. When Sling Blade
I haven't been getting on a lot of people's streams lately.
Yeah.
Well, I really hate drama.
Yeah, me too. I was trying to get everything in working order, Eddie. Trying to get the drama to stop back then.
I think Eddie's just noped out.
He said something about Maria. I don't know who Maria is.
Let's go back into the topic we were going to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like the legend of the Garden of Hesperides is also about the Britannic Isles, which is Britain.
Yeah.
Right? And it was also about Great Britain and Spain, because apples supposed to came from Spain and also from the Far East.
Right. Yeah.
Freaky, you can't. No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, look like we're losing our single, Matt.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
probably
he died.
Alright, guys. If you can, I love y'all. I'm getting Y'all take care, okay?
Okay then,
Okay,
bye.
take care.
Bye, second star. Nice to see you.
Yeah,
See y'all.
what
Do you know something? This is one of those things where I really try to avoid being involved in drama.
yeah, it it it's the issue that one Sunday.
Hmm.
What happened on Sling Blades Live? His last live stream.
Yeah. And I was on that one, and I was roasted.
Yeah.
But then again, I did make have a.
Then
I did have a
you made it
misunderstanding.
up with him, made up with Eddie on that, and I saw the Tuesday night live stream that Eddie had
Yeah.
that had Ted Mack and them.
I just try not to be involved with drama
Yeah,
anymore. It's not worth it.
I
You
was
know?
trying to get everything calmed down behind the scenes
Yeah.
so that cooler heads would prevail.
Yeah.
It's I didn't tell anybody that they have to stay out of
I
the live
I know
stream.
the reason why she left, but I'm not going to say because it was private between me and Maria.
Yeah,
Okay. And it's up to
I
Maria
didn't
to
tell
say.
Maria any. Yeah, I didn't tell Maria anything because I didn't any communication.
Yep. Freaky Geek, you got so much
But
mind on
I didn't
horses.
tell I didn't tell anybody else who out of his live stream because it was to do with you and Sling Blade, and I haven't
Hi, Ellie. Nice to
seen
see you.
him. Hey Ellie, how you doing?
Don't let it worry you, okay?
Yeah,
Don't let it worry you. Maria, I once
yeah.
met you, Maria. And
I
suddenly I
guess I
found.
kill the mood right now. So I guess I'll end it because it's coming up to 2 hours now.
Come on, don't end it yet because we can still talk about certain things. I
Yeah, but
mean,
yeah, the change come.
you feel bad, don't you?
No, I've just let Sling Blade know what's going on in private.
To tell you the truth, I'd rather be left out of it. I'm not being rude to you.
Yeah, it's it's that I got involved because of I was trying to keep the peace between everybody.
Sometimes, I'm not having a go at you here. Sometimes it's better to keep your head reeled in and out of the way because even though you want to help, sometimes it can get
Yeah,
you into
but
trouble.
yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Keep it behind closed doors. It was Sling Blade that probably said something to tell us to stay, tell
At
certain
the
people to
night,
stay away.
he was saying stuff about, I think at the time when I was on there, about how people are stabbing each other on the other channels, behind other
Yeah,
channels back. He was sick of it. And
yeah. I
that's
was
when
trying.
it happened.
I was trying to keep the peace because there's two sides of the issue, And not
Yeah.
the people on both sides that were at war at the time. I consider
It's not about
friends.
the war.
Yeah,
I just feel like personally that I don't really want to be involved with that type of issue. I've had enough of this
yeah.
crap I had recently.
I don't
And it's
want to be. I don't want to be put in the middle of two friends fighting until I have to be
have you ever,
choose
ever
to
told them to say,
pick a
well,
side.
yes, unfortunately, freaky, I
Yeah,
kind of agree with you on that. And sometimes sitting on the fence just means that you get an ass full of splinters, if you know what I mean by that. You're too good of a guy to not have this happen to you. I agree with Second Star. You know?
yeah,
What I'm saying is yes, you would try to do things for the right reasons. But
yeah,
sometimes some things, like I've learned recently, are better not spoken about. They just let them get on
mhm.
with it.
Yeah. I did told Eddie what's going on and what happened at that time. What was the drama? He may have forgotten all about it with everything that happened to him with his
Personally, Rob,
health.
I've got nothing against Eddie, and I've got nothing against you, and I'm definitely
Mhm.
not got anything against Sling Blade. That's why I'm just standing aside, trying to calm you down, trying to make you feel better. You
Yeah.
know?
And what I was trying to do is try and keep peace between everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess I better end this before I say anything else.
Let's just say right now, right? Sometimes some things are better left on their own. Meaning, if somebody's kicking off to sleep, sometimes it's better you to say bye. I need it because at the end of the day, I found when I've opened my mouth
Mhm.
on live streams, it's not just Eddie's and other people I know now. Other ones. In the end, it's me that gets the teeth in the ass. You
Yeah,
know. So it's better for me to stay out of things that I don't know about.
I don't know who told Eddie I said something like that.
I do wonder whether there's a shit stirrer somewhere on the line.
Yeah,
I don't think it's Eddie. I don't think it's Andy. I don't think it's anything like that at all.
yeah,
So there's somebody out there that's stirring the shit pot. And
mhm,
people who do that deserve to lick the spoon.
yeah, yeah. I better go and try and pass things up with people.
Anyway, you look after yourself, okay?
Okay.
You on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I
You
think you
message
connected
me.
to me.
If you want to talk to me on Instagram after this, you can do, okay? I'll log in.
Yeah. Okay. See you.
Bye, my friend.
Well, who was on my stream, and thank you everybody who was in chat. Take care and have a nice day.
You take care of yourself, okay?